Well, this next part I was actually supposed to be in the sanctuary for, and you'll understand in a minute why, because I needed some space. But I ended up coming in yesterday. As I said earlier, I didn't want to expose myself to people since I had been exposed to someone with COVID. And so that's why I'm at home today. So I came in yesterday all by myself, late last night, and I kind of made a video of what I was planning to do, which is not going to be quite the same. But one thing I think, if anything we've learned during this time of COVID, adaptability and flexibility are our friends. And I think we show it as individuals and we show it as a community, our adaptability. So I'd now like to, I hope you'll enjoy this video where I talk in a slightly different way about the strategic planning work, the visioning work, and the missioning work that we are doing, because what makes a religious community unique is their commitment to live a vision that's not about profit. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you learn something about vision and mission, and I really invite you to think about this. What does that mean for your pledge?
Hello, here I am. I've mastered this trick of being in two places at one time, even though there's a slight time delay. I was in my apartment, now I'm in the sanctuary. The wonders of modern technology. Well, I want to talk a bit about vision and mission, because this is the beginning of the pledge campaign, and I think it's really important to think about when we want to pledge towards a community is, what's the purpose of it? Why do we come here and where are we going, most importantly? I think one of the great phrases I like to think about is, given who we are and where we want to go, what should we do? Because given who we are as a congregational identity, UUFRC, given where we are is the context here in Redwood City, in the Bay Area, in California, in San Mateo County, given where do we want to go? Where do we want to go as a religious community in the 3 to 5 years? I think that's part of the vision of where we want to go. And how do we get there? What do we do as a mission? I just want to read our vision and mission to you. It's in the order of service, it's on the website, but let's just put this in your head when you think about it. Our vision is our a community of spiritual growth, compassion and justice. With compassion, we care for one another. We help each other through our struggles, through the joys and concerns of life. Justice, we believe we are called to take our values out into the community and to make the world a better place, to transform the world through acts of love. And spiritual growth, we want to explore those ideals, those values, those principles that may help guide our lives, that will help us through good times and bad times, and really help connect us with one another, connect us with the planet, and connect us with our inner being. So that's our vision. I think that's a powerful vision. And I think vision's powerful. Now, I used to be very cynical about vision. When I worked in the corporate world back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, I used to think vision, when they talked about vision of the corporation, was a little ridiculous, because the purpose of the corporation was to make money, beginning, middle and end. Why even pretend there's anything else? I was fortunate. I worked with some of the more progressive Silicon Valley companies, and they had a vision. Of course they were out to make a profit. Not all the companies I worked with did, but they were out to make a profit. They were trying. But the vision and mission was how they wanted to act, how they wanted to make a profit. And that's quite important. Now, this may come as a disappointment to you that religious communities not out to make a profit, which is just as well, because I've been a really lousy religious leader. Because I can tell you in my 14 years of ministry, I've never once made a profit. I've balanced budgets, but I've never made a profit. So, if we're not out to make a profit, what is our purpose? And I think that's where our vision and mission can ground us and what our purpose is. We want to be a community of spiritual growth, compassion and justice. And our mission's powerful as well. Our mission is we're a welcoming and inclusive community of individuals of all ages, a community of all ages who seek spiritual meaning, empower personal growth, build connections with our neighbours, act for justice and inspire others to join us. That's our mission, that's how we do the work. And the goal is spiritual growth, compassion and justice. Now, why is vision and mission so important? Well, I think that really guides of who we are and how we want to be with one another. It's our reason to be. I want to explore vision and mission and, of course, the strategic planning work that we've been doing over the last year through the board and through the strategic planning task force and the children, youth and family visioning task force. We've really been looking like, how do we want to move forward as a community? And of course, I want to use something very appropriate and fun, balloons, because it doesn't get any more fun than balloons. So if you're talking about vision and mission, you need to make it fun, so there's balloons. So here's a balloon. And the balloon, all it is a container. It can hold gases, it can hold liquids. And if there's nothing in it, it's kind of boring. So if you've got a community that's not really animated by some great vision, of some great purpose, or some great meaning on their existence, then it's just an empty container lying in the ground. But you can animate. You animate it through, like a balloon, you blow it up. You always knew I had a lot of hot air in me. Now, I'm using a balloon not because it's an example of the minister of the congregation, and it's not the congregation. The balloon's just a container. The air is what animates us. It's the animation of the spirit. Because we are a spiritual community, we're a community of spiritual growth. And the spirit, what animates us? It animates us as individuals, and it animates us as a community to search for meaning and purpose and transform the world through acts of love. So if you don't have a compelling vision, you can go in very obscure directions. So unless you really keep your eye on the vision and lose track of it, you can just go in all sorts of directions, and you don't know where you're going to end up. So there's other things you can do with vision. You can get a vision and you can hold it really tight. It's a good use of church money to watch if the congregation wants the minister blowing up balloons. Just to prove I can do it, I think. So you can have a vision and mission, and you can hold it really tight, and you can run everything through it, and it can be really, really compelling, and it's really practical. But vision and mission is held too tight. All it does is keep you grounded in really what you want. You want a vision and mission to lift you up. You want the strategic goals to lift you up. We didn't come here just to repeat our everyday life. We came to connect deeper with one another. We came to find hope that inspires us to live better. We come here to be transformed and find a way of how we can embody and bring love into the world. That's why we come to religious community. We look for something more than just being held into the ground. We're reaching for something higher. We're reaching for those values, those ideals, those principles that make our life meaningful. But here's another one. And of course, this is beautiful, and it's not, of course, with air. And it animates, it lifts up. And of course, it's got a butterfly, and it's beautiful. Religious communities should be about bringing beauty into the world. And I like the fact it's a butterfly, because in my last congregation, we always, me and the church leadership, we'd often talk about how, trying to guide our congregations like herding cats. And I said, well, no, it's not really like herding cats. Cats will just ignore you or do what they want. And congregations are not like that. I mean, there might be a few cats there, but most of us are trying to go in a common direction. So there's more like herding butterflies. We can all start off in that direction, and then we can flutter off in our own direction and get distracted. And so I think the religious community, a butterfly, a herd of butterflies, or herding butterflies is a better metaphor than herding cats. But of course, this like a healing, the air that animates this, it's really calling us, it's stretching us up into the sky. It's a very visionary reach that we're looking for there. The trouble is, unless it's grounded to reality, unless it's connected to our everyday life, it's just going to reach high and it may not be meaningful. It may not help guide us and it'll just float away like it does. So, bye-bye vision and mission. And if you want to see how I'm going to get that back, you need to come to next Sunday's service and see how I'm going to get that back. Because a vision and mission that's not connected to our life as a congregation is not going to be useful to us. So we're always looking for this balance. We're looking for this balance of a vision and mission that guides us, but is connected to reality. And so it's a tension between pulling us to our highest values, pulling us to the better angels of our nature, but keeping grounded to the everyday of congregational life. And here's another one. Here's another one, and of course, I love you. What a universalist message. I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. It's that universalist message I've mentioned to you before. And so this blue, it's got helium in it. It's not as big, it's not going to be as far out as the butterfly. It's still stretching us, higher. It's still stretching us, but it's still grounded. But unless we keep it grounded in something as simple here as a paperclip, can just help balance it so that it stays. It stays, so it's pulling us up, but it's grounded. That's what we're looking to do with our strategic planning and our vision and mission work. We want big goals. We want challenging goals. We want to stretch ourselves as individuals and as a community. We want to take our values out into San Mateo County and transform that county through acts of love by bringing justice and compassion. More justice, more compassion to San Mateo County. So we always want that stretching, but also connected to the ground, and that's what we're looking for. So I invite you all to think about how do you want to stretch as we enter into this pledge campaign that we're beginning today. I want you to think about the vision you have for the community. Of course you want to support staff, you want to support the building, you want to support the justice causes we have. But I want you to think about it in a vision. What do you want the future of our community to be now, 1 year's time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time? What do you want the vision of San Mateo County to be in 1 year's time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time? We're an intergenerational community, so we're looking to do legacy work for our children and for our children's children and for ourselves. That is the vision and mission and the strategic thinking I want us to bring to this congregation as we move forward. And I want each of us to bring that thinking when we decide how do we want to pledge. And I will be talking a little bit more about the pledge later in the service.
I am going to do a small reflection about a small child. I don't know if any of you are from the era where mom always carried a handkerchief and she would lick it and wipe off your face for whatever before you went off someplace. Do you remember doing that happening? Right. Well, as a little girl, my sister, Marianne, and I were always sent into Sunday school with little handkerchiefs. The handkerchiefs were prepared by Mom with some few coins tied in the corner like this. And then we would take these with us in our little hot hands, or tied to a sash, or in perhaps a pocket. So Mom would check this all out, give us a pat, and in we went to Sunday school. Those coins were precious to Marianne and me because we could give them in the Sunday school basket. So when that was passed around, we got our coins out, we untied them, and we had no idea about the value. We untied the coins from the handkerchief and held them in our sweaty little palms until the basket arrived to us. If someone was sitting next to us and had forgotten or didn't have coins, we would share. So everybody had something to put in. I think this is where I started with my ideas about giving. I really didn't know what these were worth, but I felt valued, me, in my adding something to the basket. I was definitely a part of our little community. I helped. I felt loved by the Spirit present within us all. At that time, it was freely translated as Jesus loves me. This I know. As I grew, the power of this ritual grew with me, and it stayed with me to this day. So I still put that dollar in as the basket passes. And even before we joined this congregation, we knew we'd be coming for a while, so we pledged. We just said we're going to. We might as well tell them so they know it in the budget. This is how we feel the love and hope in UUism, and as we've grown so fond of this community in UUFRC. Thank you.
Silver balloons. I could exhaust that analogy, but I will not. I want to thank Debbie and Jeanne for sharing about what the congregation means to them. I'd like to thank you, Jeanne Davidson, for going through the finances. So you've heard a lot about the practical, the visionary, the reality of giving and how what a congregation depends on. And our pledges that we all make our budget and our vision a reality. And that's what we're talking about today. And one of the things I do not like is, give till it hurts. I really detest that expression. I think you should give till it feels good. And I want to acknowledge that some of us can't afford to give more, or can't afford to pledge. Our life circumstances just don't allow it, and that's okay. Your presence here, as we say during the offertory, is gift enough. So if you can't, please don't worry about it. Put food on your table, get your health care, take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. The role of church is to alleviate suffering and not be the cause of it. But if you believe and value what we are doing and are able to give, then I really invite you to reflect and give a pledge that you feel is really meaningful for what UUFRC and what Unitarian Universalism really means to you. You'll be receiving an email today. It'll be already sent out, so when you go home, or if you're already at home on Zoom, you can check your email. You'll receive a letter from Erica Patel and Elisa Nett, our co-chairs of the pledge campaign, and it will give you more information about how to pledge. We're pledging online this year as we did last year. The form's on the website, but there's also a link there. So it's going to be very easy, but really take some time to think, how much do you want to pledge? Jeanne did a wonderful job presenting the finances, and the pandemic's been hard. Your rental income's down, our pledges are down, there's uncertainty in the economy, and so it's been hard, and many congregations are struggling. But one of the things we have done during this time, we have not just tried to survive this pandemic. We've really been focusing in the future, and how do we want to thrive coming out of it? And to do that, we are going to need an increase in pledges. If you don't receive that email, let me know. I'll make sure you receive the email. I've got vested interest in this. But no, it's really important if you'd like to. I mean, anyone can pledge. You don't need to be a member or friend. Anyone can pledge, and you're welcome. And this is a pledge for our 2022-2023 budget, July 2022 through June 2023. And we are asking for a 7% increase. That will allow us to do a lot of things, and really help us to try and close the deficit. And if you can do more, that would be great. And we're using the online pledge form, so it's really easy, and you can also sign up for your pledge online. And as you know, I believe in tithing. I believe in giving 10% of my income to causes that I believe in. I don't believe it should all go to the church. I pledge 5% to UUFRC. And I'm fortunate I can afford to do that, and not everyone can. But I invite you all to think about a percentage that's meaningful for you, that you think you could give. Really think of it as a percentage of your income. And so I'm going to increase my pledge this year by 10%. I really believe in what we're doing. I really believe in the leadership of the church. I really believe on the people of the church, and I really believe in what we're doing through the strategic planning, vision, and mission work that you'll be hearing more of. I really believe that we are coming out of this pandemic stronger. Now, why increase my pledge? Well, we often hear that evolution is about survival of the fittest, and I don't think we always think of fittest being the strongest or fastest. That's not really what evolution is. Evolution is about survival of the most adaptable and the most flexible. And I think that's what we've shown during this pandemic. We've been surviving, we've been able to change. And the fact I'm leading worship here from my living room kind of shows the flexibility and adaptability that we've had to have. And that's only going to stand us in good stead moving forward. We want to keep this light, flexible, adaptable attitude as a community. Doing it as an individual can be easy, though it can be challenging for some of us. But doing it as a community is really hard to keep that flexibility, and I've experienced that here at UUFRC. And I honestly believe that Unitarian Universalism brings a life-affirming, life-enhancing, and even life-saving message. And I want to broaden that. I want to let more people know about that. Because we hear some horrendous things that the trans youth are experiencing in Texas and other places. The LGBTQ community now experience it in Florida and Alabama. And with so much income inequality throughout our country. And we need to address all of those things. But one of the things Unitarian Universalism does is it puts the love of all people at the center of our religion. The love of all people. And that's not an easy love. But it's a love that drives us to bring it to those who need it, those who lack it, and those who maybe have never even experienced this divine love. A love that challenges us to go beyond our comfort zone, to connect with different generations, to those we know, but maybe we haven't shared the message of the Unitarian Universalism, to different ethnic groups, to those who maybe do not have the same formal education we have, to those who maybe have different economic circumstances. Can we take that message out there? Because it's not up to me, it's up to all of us to get that message out there. And I promise I will do my part. And that's by doing that, by taking that message of love of all people at the centre of the religion, that's what gives me hope. We know of all the struggles in the world. We know of the struggles of the pandemic. But that's what gives me hope, that there's a community like ours out there trying to transform and to alleviate the burden, to reduce suffering, to bring compassion, to bring care, to bring kindness, to bring love to others. That's what gives me hope. I want UUFRC to be the incubator of hope and the nurturer of love for all within our walls and outside of our walls. That is how I believe we can bless the world and transform it through acts of love. So I invite you to think about that when you come across that email and decide how you would like to pledge for next year. Really keep that big vision of what our community does for ourselves, for those within it and those outside of it. Think about that when you pledge, and thank you for your generosity.